Now that we've placed an electric meter and panel and some of the interior lights in previous videos, let's go ahead and take a look at how we can start to document those onto an actual electrical plan. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the level 1 electrical plan. And this is going to be where we're going to place some of those things. Now, the only problem is everything we want is going to be on one particular plan. And we kind of have to worry about like, where are the locations of the lights? We're not able to see those in this plan, but what we can do is document them with some of those symbols. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the properties palette. And I'm going to scroll down until I see something called the underlay. I'm going to click the drop down and I want to do level 1 is the base level. We're going to go up to level 2 and we want to, instead of look down, we want to look up, and I'm going to hit apply. When I do that, I can actually see now where those lights are. So like in the previous video, we placed those 4 recessed can lights there in that kitchen area, and we can see all the ceiling fans we placed in the bedrooms. So and you may have other different items, but in order to make sure these are actually on the plan, I'm actually going to go up here to the component, detail component. I'm going to be on the annotate tab. I guess I should mention that first, and then go to detail component. And then we're going to load the family. And these families I'm going to have in the video description. We'll want fan details. I'm going to hold control and also select the light details and go ahead and say open. Those are going to get loaded in, and you can see that here are the fan details, various fan details with lights and without lights, exhaust fans, bathroom fans, and then some of the light details like a recessed can light. So I can choose some of those. I'm going to choose ceiling fan with light. And all I'm going to do is just where I see a ceiling fan, I'm just going to click and I'm going to place an instance, kind of like tracing over these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to change my detail over to the light, and I'll do a recessed can light. You see it's just going to be a little circle symbol. And it may not be quite the same size or, where we're at. I'm just going to kind of also place approximate location, but I'm going to just go ahead and click where I can see these. Okay. So those are about the approximate locations. Again, your electricians just need to know where your approximate areas are going to be, and they're going to be able to know where to place a lot of those items. Go ahead and cancel off of placing those, and I'm going to go ahead and go back into the properties palette. And when I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and go to the range base level and select none and click apply. You're going to see all of those things are going to now disappear. So then that way, the only thing that we have are the placements of those ceiling lights, and you can see there's the symbols for them. All right, that way it doesn't get too messy and too cluttered as we go along. The next component, though, that we'll start to add in is I'm going to go into the Insert tab, and I'm going to load Autodesk Family. And I'm going to go ahead and click on All Results if you're looking at something else. And I want to go into Electrical, and I want to go under the Architectural. I want to go under Electrical Power, and I want to go to Terminals. The Terminal section is going to have like our outlets. So I'm going to go ahead and select those. I want a duplex outlet. I want a GFI, maybe one for a range if we need to. I'm going to leave that one alone. But I'm going to go ahead and also see there's some outlets for single and triplex. Most are duplex. I got dimmer switch as well as double, single, and three-way switches. I'm just going to load all of those, check them all, and go ahead and put those in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on one particular room. So let's do the master bedroom here. I'm going to go into the architecture tab, and I'm going to place component. And in here, I can see that I've got like my switches. So I'm just going to do a single switch. You're going to notice that as you come into the room, when you're on a wall, I can place the switches. So I'm just going to go ahead and place 2 switches right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a look at, well, what other types of things can I do here? So maybe I'll go into the outlets and start to place my outlets. So single duplex is here. And if I go ahead and look, I can go ahead and start to place those. So for example, I probably want to place one on this wall, and I might want to place one right about here, maybe another one here. And then within the opening, I got to place some of these outlets, maybe right here by this door too. So I want to double check, because when I'm utilizing, if I use my measure tool, which is up here, I can actually kind of look and see like, all right, between like this line and this line, do I make sure that that's about 5 feet, 7, almost 8 inches? And what we want to do is we want to make sure we're not greater than 12 feet in any direction between outlets. So that's some of the things there. You'll notice how big the outlets are. If I change the view scale from 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, you're going to see that those outlets are going to look a little bit, they're going to size down a little bit more. So depending on what view scale you have, you can be able to see kind of the size. So the scaling is what controls kind of how large those symbols show up on the plan. I'm probably going to switch to a 1/4 inch scale just because it looks a little bit more realistic compared to the size of our rooms, and kind of going along there. But I'm going to place those outlets, and that's an easy way to make sure that we've got those there. Same thing with switches, and you'll see because of the sizing, I can kind of move these a little closer. We don't really have to worry about approximate location, or like exact, I should say. We just want approximate locations because, again, our electricians are probably going to go in and kind of place a lot of those details for us. So they're going to know and be able to place those. They just need to know where exactly we need to have them. All right, the other one here is going to be, let's move to the kitchen. And if I go into component and I go into, again, back to outlets, we want to look at here is the single GFI outlet. So when those are noted, so like for example, I've got some space here along my wall, counter space. I probably want to place those, again, about every 2 feet. So we'll see what this looks like. So, and then if I want to kind of like look to see what this looks like, I'm going to do a camera view. Let's look at it. Here, you'll actually be able to see there's the outlets. So right now they just show the covers. But right there, we would have GFI outlets. Let me go into a realistic setting. So there would be our outlets placed along the wall with our sink and everything. So that it would be, you can see all of our can lights from previous video were placed. And I can actually see what these look like in my kitchen area. So again, I would want to make sure just by electrical code, placing those GFI outlets and placing those switches where would I want light switches as I come into the house. Probably in the kitchen right by the door. I would want to have a spot where I would want to be able to toggle lights. So maybe if I throw on a light switch right here as you come inside, and then maybe also have one even on the other side. So as you come into this room, you know, you've got a switch right by the door. So then that way you can go in and out. So again, the careful placement of those components is going to be what we look at in terms of trying to get some of those items kind of put into this electrical plan. So continue to go around. This is just showing one room and then a kitchen area. Continue to go throughout your house, placing the electrical plan items. And in the next video, we're going to cover how do we kind of show how these are all connected and being able to be used, you know, and proper communication to our electricians of where we want all of our fixtures and our terminals for our lighting fixtures.